So Waylon, if I wanted a real thick gourd to carve on, which varieties would you recommend?
There's about 6 or 7 varieties that we grow here on the farm that have the capability of producing a 1/2 inch thick shell or greater. The first one, again, would be these African hardshell Wuertz. These, you can tell the thickness based purely on their weight. These things weigh a ton. I would hate to get hit by one of these. These things are just stout gourds. The other variety that works good too is we do have a variety of bushel gourd that starts kicking off these 1/2 inch thick to full inch thick shells. And you probably won't be able to see this with the camera, but when we're looking for thick gourds, the first thing that we look for, even before we pick it up, is we call them stretch marks. And what they look like on the skin is just a little line that starts showing up. And it's just on the skin, and again, the camera probably won't pick this up, but they almost look like a spider webbing on it. And what happens is as the gourd is growing, it is stretching, then healing, then stretching, then healing, stretching, and then healing, and it creates this kind of modeling and web pattern on it. When we see that on there, we know even before we pick it up, it's going to be a thick gourd. And then as soon as you pick it up and you feel the weight difference, and then the sound of it as well, that's generally how you know you're going to have a thick gourd. Here in front of me is an example of what I was talking about, stretch marks. And that's the only best way to describe them we can think of as a stretch mark. But these little lines that start showing up, and it's kind of a textured look on the skin. Now, they come off with the skin, but when you're looking for thick gourds here at the farm, this is usually the first sign to look for. It's just from the shell expanding, and by doing so, it stretches the skin and creates this little scar on it. Don't need to worry about it. Like I said, it comes off with the skin, but then it creates a super thick shell that's great for carving. And then, once you pick it up, you can feel the weight difference, and you know it's a thick gourd then too. But for those of you wanting thick gourds here at the farm, this is what you look for first. So again, the bottles, the bushel gourds, a lot of our canteen gourds, and believe it or not, even some of our ornamental, or not ornamental, but hard shell ornament-sized gourds actually have a very thick skin in which you can carve on. And every once in a while, there's some other crosses that happen too that we will get some thick ones.
Can you also tell when you pick them up, if you had two the same size, would one be heavier than the other if it was thicker?
Yep, absolutely. That's what I tell people to look for most, because most people aren't looking for stretch marks like we are or anything like that. But the weight is definitely a sign for it. Now, throughout the year, sometimes we do harvest gourds that still have a little bit of moisture weight in them too. And those will be heavy, and oftentimes it confuses people if it's a thick gourd or just still has a little bit of drying to do. But a very easy way to tell if it still has moisture in it is if you feel the gourd, it's either going to have a really hot spot or a really cold spot on it. A completely dry gourd is going to be roughly the same temperature all the way around, whether it's in full sun or whether it's 40 below, the gourd's going to feel the same all the way around. And so that's how you can pinpoint moisture still in the shell.